Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be drawing something random plus story time. So yeah, let's get into the video. As a child, I always knew I was different because I remember telling my family that I felt like my brain was split into multiple pieces, and my family would say that I was crazy and that that I was losing my mind and things like that. But push forward, as I got older, I started noticing that I was not crazy and that I was not delusional and that what I was seeing wasn't made up. Growing up, I would see like people walking around and things like that, and hear noises and things like that, and see things that no one else would see. I also would have imaginary friends that had names like Billy and Ella and things like that. And as I got older, it progressed and I got more and more and more other imaginary friends with names. I would tell people that I had vivid dreams and things like that, and it was like really creepy because it felt so real and things like that. But as I got older, I realized that they weren't dreams and that there are things that was really happening. I would have dreams of like people touching me and things like that as a child, and it would happen over and over again. And as I got older, I realized that they were flashbacks and that I have severe PTSD. So that sucked. And then on top of that, I would miss time and like find myself in a place that I wasn't familiar with a different outfit on and things like that. As time moved on and I got older, I would have mental breakdown because I would just say I was crazy and that I'm losing my mind and things like that. But then I finally moved out from living with my mom, then moved in with my girlfriend, and then I got my ID and things like that. And now I'm studying to get my driver's license. I also graduated high school recently, and like I also got a job, and then I quit that job, but I'm trying to apply for new jobs and things like that. But once I moved in with my girlfriend and I started doing everything that I needed to get done, I ended up getting a therapist. And then when I got that therapist, we had a couple of sessions and things like that. And I was telling her what was going on and how I felt. And then eventually I ended up getting tested at the place that my therapist worked. And then when I went there to get tested, I got tested, and then my tests came back that I had OCD, ADHD, anxiety, depression, and signs of DID. And then after that, I decided to get a new therapist because the therapist that I had, she would say that the alters and things like that were just like, she was like kind of rude about it and being kind of unprofessional. So I decided to get a new therapist. And then once I got my new therapist, she said that I should get tested at a different place. So I decided to get tested at Genesis. And then it took a couple months for Genesis to give me a call back, but then they ended up giving me a call back. And when I went to go get tested at Genesis, the people there was really lovely, and I was in a room, and the room was like pretty small, kind of, but they had me do multiple different tests. After I was done with my testing at Genesis, I literally did not remember the entire hours that I spent testing. Fast forward, I ended up getting my results, and my results were 10 pages. Once I got my results, I was diagnosed with dissociative identity disorder and severe PTSD, and the other diagnosis that I had before when I got tested before. They also had several suggestions, and I just remember thinking to myself, wow, I felt so relieved that I finally got a diagnosis and things like that. Sorry for the tapping. The tapping was Worf. He's a dog. He's so cute. He's a beagle. But before I change the subject, but it also made the little girl inside of me really relieved that all those times when I was young and I would say that I was crazy and that I would have mental breakdowns and things like that, I wasn't lying. Like, my brain is split. I don't really want to tell my family about my diagnosis, but my girlfriend knows about my diagnosis, and her sister and also her aunt, and they're really supportive about it. But I don't want to tell my dad or my mom or anyone on my side of the family because they only say that I'm demonic and things like that, and I need help. I love my family, but I know that they'll just say that I'm demonic and I need help, and it doesn't really help my mental health. It just makes it worse. And then on top of that, I once tried to tell a family member, but they were really they really made me cry about it. And I learned my lesson not to tell my family about it because they're kind of the reason why I have this disorder, because they're part of the trauma that I went through and that I experienced. So moving forward with my life, I plan on to get the therapy that I need, which is EDMR that I was told that I need, and other treatments that I need. So I'm gonna have 2 therapists. I guess having 2 therapists is good for me because I can have one during the weekend and one during weekdays, I guess. So it's not that bad, but it is a lot of healing that will be involved and a lot of trauma being restored to my memory. Also, on top of that, I start college soon, so I'm really nervous about that, but it's gonna be online, so that will be kind of good for me because I'll be able to work and still do college. But long and behold, I have a problem with my fossa. For some reason, I keep getting emails about my fossa being not like into the school system, or saying that I'm not in school, but I don't know what that's about, so hopefully that gets fixed. Also, my major in college is liberal arts because I couldn't decide what to do because I didn't know if I wanted to be a therapist, a family therapist, a doctor, studying criminal justice, be a teacher. It was just so hard to find which one. I am also writing multiple different books because it's hard for me to decide what book do I want to work on. So I have like 10 different books I'm working on. It's hard for me to focus on one thing or keep up with one thing because it's just so hard having multiple people in your head that have like different things they want to do and different opinions, and it's like a roller coaster going inside of my head every single day. And that's kind of hard to deal with every day, but I'm just happy knowing that I was finally diagnosed, and that all those times that I just lay in bed crying and just crying, saying I was crazy. I wasn't. And I'm just happy that the little girl in me finally got her answer, that she wasn't crazy, and that the people that she saw were real people. And I feel like now that I have accepted it and I have became aware of it, it's like much better, and that it's much better knowing that I'm not losing my mind, but it's also a struggle knowing that it's gonna be a long life of healing for me, and a long life of making the right choices and making sure that we are all okay as a group and as a whole and as a system. It is also hard knowing that I spent years and years and years feeling this sadness weighing over me, and this fear and this night horrors and things like that, not knowing that all of the pain I was feeling and all of the night horrors were all because I was experiencing trauma that continued on and on and on and on, and it just wouldn't stop, and it just kept going. And it makes sense why I would lose time and why I only remembered bits and pieces of my childhood. It just makes me feel like I was failed as a kid, and I feel like those around me that failed me, they can't admit that they failed me, and that's what hurt the most out of everything. I know it's a lot of people that feel alone and feel like they're in a battle of depression and things like that on their own, but I'm here to tell you that you're not on your own, and that we understand what you're going through or what you went through, and that we're here to tell you that it can get better, and that it takes time, and that you can overcome anything, any obstacle. And I just want to let the person know that's watching this that you matter, and that you are important, and that if you feel like you are drowning in sadness, don't let the sadness sink. Don't let it control you. You take control of it. I also learned over time that sometimes the people that you think are best for you are actually the people that are plotting the worst for you. I used to think as a child that the people that I surround myself around were my friends, but actually they were the ones that were causing me trauma and putting me in harm's way, which is not what you want to surround yourself around. However, everybody makes mistakes, and I like to forgive people, and that's what I do. I forgive a lot of people, and then the ones that I forgive end up being the main ones that hurt me. And I feel like if I'm going to forgive you and I'm going to keep giving you chances, why do you keep on hurting me more? I realize that usually the ones that hurt you usually be the ones that's going through things themselves, and they project on you, which is the worst thing to do. And I can admit that I've done it before and I felt guilty about it. I also learned that over time, your emotions can get better or worse, and it all depends on what you're doing about them. I also learned that the reason why I felt different as a child was not just because the fact that I was bullied, but it was also because I just would have conversations and things like that, and I would see things and I would say, guys, remember this, and they would be like, what are you talking about? And I would make friends and then forget that I became friends with them, and it just wouldn't stop. It kind of got worse once I got to high school, because once I got to high school, I would just make a lot of friends, and they would come up to me and they would be like, hi, and I would just be like standing there confused, trying to figure out who are they and what's their name and why do I know them. But I did make some good friends in high school, and they're still my friends now since I graduated. Sometimes I still forget why I know them. I did graduate this year, so it's not like it was like long ago, but graduation was the hardest for me because I remember dissociating so bad, and we couldn't chew gum, and we could not use the bathroom once we started. So like, oh my goodness, when I had to use the bathroom, I couldn't get up and be like, oh, I have to use the bathroom. I had to like literally continue to stand until they told me to sit. But before graduation like started, we had to get there early, and we also couldn't wear our cap and gown when we got in there because we had to go through metal detectors. But on top of that, we were allowed to use the bathroom, but only like before graduation started, and I didn't have to use the bathroom then. I didn't have to use the bathroom until like we were literally sitting down and people were there. That's when I had to use the bathroom, and I couldn't just get up and use the bathroom. And then on top of that, we were not allowed to have our phones, so I had no phone, no purse, just sitting down, looking around, looking crazy until they called my name. And I was in the front row, so I was the first row to go. And then on top of that, before graduation, I had to give out tickets, and I was giving the ticket to my Nana, and I told my Nana that I didn't want the iPhone that my grandpa had gave me. And after graduation, she had gave me like a bag of things for graduation, and it had holy water in it, and then it had the phone that I literally gave her and told her that I didn't want anymore. Also, I was really respectful about it. I told her that I did not want the phone anymore. She did not respect my boundaries and still gave me the phone. So I gave the phone to my girlfriend mom because like I didn't want the phone, and also many other reasons why I didn't want it. And then on top of that, I got a summer job, but then I quit that summer job after a day only working because of schedule issues. And then my Nana texted me talking about, when are you going to get a summer job? And I told her to stop bothering me about that because she's always bothering me about jobs. And then she had a nerve to text me back and said, I know that's not you talking. You need to put that holy water on that I gave you. What the heck? It is like whenever I speak my mind and try to do anything to put boundaries, they say things like that. And the fact is, when I did reply to the message, I said I already had a summer job, I quit it, leave me alone about that. And then she replies with that. That hurt my feelings. That made me cry. I try my best to be respectful as I can, but sometimes I just want to just cuss her out. And we have gotten an argument before, multiple times, but the argument is always me trying to defend myself. Like, I try my best to be respectful as I can, but sometimes I just draw the limit when you continue to disrespect me. And then on top of that, they don't have my number. I talk to them on Messenger on Facebook, so I don't even trust them enough to give them my number yet. The iPhone that I had, though, it had my old number that they knew about, so they could text me on the iPhone, but I just couldn't keep the iPhone anymore because, like, the iPhone would do weird things like take pictures and make videos when I didn't want to make a video or make the pictures. So I thought that was weird, and I felt like someone was watching me through the phone and that they could see all the activity that I was doing on the phone. Another thing that I thought was strange was the fact that the iPhone would start screen recording by itself. So everything about the iPhone gave me the creeps, because, like, why are you screen recording what I'm doing? And also on top of that, the iPhone allowed me to log in to an account that I've been trying to log in for years, and it did not have the same password or email, but for some reason I was able to log in. Another thing that I thought was weird about the iPhone was that not only did it let me log into, like, Instagram accounts that I was not able to log in years, it also, like, managed to give me a code through my iCloud to an account that didn't even have my iCloud email connected to it. I felt like I was going crazy, but I didn't want the phone to begin with because I had an iPhone before that and it wasn't working. And it was a whole thing where when I moved out my mom's house, they came to the house I live currently and took the phone and said they would never give it back, but then turned around and gave it back. And then on top of that, they bought me a new iPhone, and I said that I didn't want that phone, but kept bothering me about it, so I got it anyway. And then on top of that, when I did move out my mom's house, I had, like, a really bad non-epileptic seizure. It was, like, really horrible, and I was stressing out, and I was crying and shaking, and it was really bad. And they kept trying to gaslight me and manipulate me into thinking that 18 doesn't make you an adult. And they kept saying that just because you turn 18 don't mean you're legally an adult, and that your parent still has guardianship over you and that they have to sign it over. This is the final result of the drawing. I hope you guys enjoyed my story time. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Bye.